Welcome back to another Making Dodge Great Again video on Gran Turismo Sport. This is where we see how high we can climb, see how much driver rating we can get by just using the Dodge Viper, the Group 3, Group 4, maybe even one of the road cars as well if the time comes to it. So luckily for us this week, the daily races have both a Group 3 and a Group 4 race. This is obviously the Group 3 around Maggiore, 4 laps, hard tyres. The meta car is the Toyota Supra, I believe. The AMG is pretty good as well. But with the Dodge Viper on both the Group 3 and the Group 4 race, I'm about half a second to a second down on the lap time of the meta car. So it is very challenging, obviously not against the highest caliber of drivers yet. We have just broken into A rating, so still a long way to go, but still the drivers at this level are still posing quite a threat and a challenge to us winning races. But fortunately for us, that race went pretty smoothly and we actually found ourselves winning a race. That's 15 wins with the Dodge Viper. Yes, there was one win in the Nations Cup with a Group 2 car, but 14 wins just with the Dodge Viper I am very, very happy with. So that was the sprint race, and this is the main meat of the video, the feature race, if you will, around Seaside here, starting in 10th position. And away we go. How are we going to fare in this one? Now this is a fuel saving race, so the fact that you have to short shift this car to get the best out of it actually helps in the long run, as we do save a little bit more fuel. You see that I'm shifting around halfway up the rev limiter there, and you know, whilst we're sat behind cars or whether we're in the slipstream or whatever, I do try to shift a little bit earlier. You will see that throughout the race, so keep an eye out for that, just to save a little bit more. You know, we could have revved it and got past him, but we're just gonna switch up to 6th nice and early, so we save that little bit more fuel, as there's not really any point in battling past this American here. So we tried to take something out of each video or each race or whatever it is. So my lesson to you in this video is to not give up, is just to be consistent, and you will see why that is so important by the end of this race. So stay tuned, because it will all make sense. I have talked about consistency before and how influential it is to your race pace and then obviously your ending of the race positionally, but this example of this race exactly highlights why it is so important to be consistent. I don't think I made too many mistakes in this race. Yes, I'm not the fastest around here in the Dodge, we know that, so I just have to be consistently average basically, and I would take it over being fast and erratic every day. As you see the Jaguar there just squirreling as he comes out of the chicane of death. So we are going to just slide into 9th position there. Another racer there obviously has some kind of altercation in the chicane of death, going really slowly, and we're just going to slide straight past him there. Up into 8th place then. 2 positions gained on the first lap, which is always a good thing, especially when we're in the Dodge. So in this race there is a multitude of strats that you could go for. You can either pit on the 5th lap, you can pit on the 6th lap, or you can go for a no stopper. The no stopper is the fastest in my opinion, as we come into turn 1 here. Heavy on the brakes, looking up the inside of the Canadian, getting a little tap in the back by the other Canadian, and a Canadian sandwich right now. But yes, the fastest strat, it does seem, is the no stopper. As you see, DNA Jack Ripper in 6th place right now. He actually ends up winning this race. He is in the Citroen and he's going to do a no stopper, so obviously the Citroen very, very good on tyres and pretty good on fuel, I think, so that's the reasoning behind the no stopper. So if you want a really good positioning, ending positioning in this race, obviously go for the no stopper, because that will be more beneficial if you are looking for driver rating coming through those uphill S's. Very easy to get wrong, like I've said in previous videos. You have to get your entry angle correct so you can get on the power as early as possible. Heavy on the brakes, and this Canadian seems to be early on the brakes quite a bit, as the other Canadian behind us goes a little bit deep on the brakes. Don't know if he was punted or not, but regardless, we stay in 8th position as we make our way into the famous chicane of death once again. Is anything going to happen? Not this time. We're going to get a nice smooth run out though and into the slipstream of the Canadian. Just going to stay behind him. Going to aim to just fuel save just a little bit. Sometimes I could fight and I could go past the player, but sometimes it is smarter, especially when it's a fuel saving race, to just sit behind another racer just to save those couple more percentages of fuel, which will help us out when we go into the pits on lap 5. Looking at the fuel now though, we have 6.3 laps remaining. Obviously not enough to go for a no stopper, but it is looking pretty good for the strat that we're trying to do in this race. So all good, all hands to the pump then as we go about trying to chase down the Canadian in front of us. So coming down and around that tight right hand corner into the chicane of death then, it's all going to get a little bit awkward up ahead of us as there's a little bit of contact and one of the drivers is slowed down, the red Ferrari there on the left. He's going to come out of the ghost, but I can't really go around him. And you're going to see how much that slowed me down as the American behind us is just going to close the gap. It was way over 2 seconds. Obviously he's got a better run out there as well. And look how much time we have lost to the NSX as well. Just because the Lamborghini in front of us had that moment in a really, really unfortunate spot, which was just poor timing for us basically. But in the slipstream of the Lamborghini coming up the main straight, then he got himself a 0.5 second penalty as well, which is kind of a kick him while he's down moment as the white NSX then looks up the inside. What's going to happen here? We're going to go to the inside. We're just going to throw it up the inside. Space is there. It's not going to come across. Kind of good driving from the Lamborghini there just to give us the space, but that's going to be it. Very good move there. Had to be ballsy. Just consistent on hitting the apex there. A little bit of consistency coming in again. But now we have to go about tracking down the red NSX as the white one behind us is actually showing really good pace, so we're going to have to keep an eye on that as well. So jumping forward to the end of lap 4, start of lap 5, the NSX behind us has got a better run out of the last corner once again, and that is going to give him an advantage going into the first corner. I'm going to hold the inside line though. He's getting a little bit frisky, to be honest, more than I would have liked, but he's going to hold it around the outside. I'm going to give him the space, unlike the Portuguese driver in the previous video I uploaded, and that's going to be it. We're just going to sit into 8th place here. And the thing is, we were catching the NSX in front of the red one. We were catching him as well, so hopefully we can just stick behind this white one for the remainder of this lap and then come in at the end of lap 5. So we did say he was showing good pace, and look at that, the white NSX there just breaking away. We come into the pits then and we have 40% or 41% fuel. So that is absolutely fantastic. 3.3 laps remaining. So we only have to refuel around 20%, 25%, which is going to save us a lot of time. You can see the other drivers coming into the pits there, 21, 23, 19%. So we've got almost double the amount of fuel that other people have, which is absolutely fantastic. So settling into 15th place then, we have got a long way to go. Halfway through the race, let's see what we can do. So remembering then that this video is about being consistent or trying to be consistent, we need to put in 5 good solid laps, minimal mistakes, and hopefully that will get us a good position. Looking at our lap times on the right hand side of the screen, they're not very consistent, but that is because we were kind of battling with cars on each ones of the laps. So hopefully we can just get past maybe this slower player here and just put in some consistently fast laps. See if we can beat our current best time of a 1:48.459. So he's going to get a little bit squiggly coming up this S section here, and things can get kind of awkward, but luckily we just go around the outside, and I'm pretty sure that old Barda Merlane there just lifts off and lets us go around the outside there. So if he did do that, fair play to him, realising that there is a faster car coming through and sort of give him way. So thank you very much. Past one Brazilian then and on to the next one. And as we come through the chicane of death there, we see the leader going into the pits with only 3% fuel remaining. So you see the difference there. We had 41% of fuel remaining the lap before, and he has 3% of fuel. So he is going to take much longer refueling his car in the pit lane. which is obviously bad for him, but very, very good for us. We come around the last corner, then very awkward corner. The Brazilian in front of us dives into the pit lane, and as we come past the start-finish straight to begin the 7th lap of the race, coming out of the pits now is the white NSX. So we've actually jumped him in the pits, just going to show that saving that fuel is very, very important indeed. As he was faster, he did have better race pace, so we're going to have eyes in the back of our head, as we would expect him to catch up and really put pressure on us towards the end of this race. But now we shall look forward at the Brazilian in front of us, who was the leader of the race, and coming around this right-hand corner here, he's actually going to serve a penalty, so that's going to bring him back towards us. Gap just going under 2 seconds then. Can we go about catching him up? I believe he is in a Jaguar, so the Jaguar are pretty fast around this track, and we're just going to try and close that gap between now and the end of the race. So 3 laps to go. What can we do? Can we close that gap? No is the answer. He actually started getting away from us. You see the gap there, up to 3.5 seconds. But this is what I'm talking about with consistency. What the Brazilian has done there, he has caught up with a Porsche Cayman who is doing a no-stopper, so obviously going a little bit slower, and as they come into the first part of the chicane of death here, it's all going to get a little bit awkward, and the Brazilian is going to find himself with a 3-second penalty, and the Porsche has what seemed to be just smashed off. So maybe the Brazilian seemed a little bit too eager to get past him, and they've caused some kind of incident. So we're up to 8th place, and now we just have to finish within 3 seconds of the Brazilian. So we have to get a good run out of this final corner, which we do, and purely by being averagely consistent, we are going to go up from 10th place and grab 2 more positions in the last couple of corners of the race. And there we go, in 7th position. Not too bad. Number 8 on our car as well, so probably a little bit of driver rating increase as well. As we are going to look at the incident, so following on board with the Jaguar, and you can see coming out of this corner here, even with a poor entry, you can see the mechanical grip and the grip on the tyres just pulling away, and Porsche goes a little bit defensive, and then it's just going to get super awkward. Not really sure what happened there. It didn't look natural at all, so I think it's just very, very unlucky as we slow-mo it here. You can make a case for the Jaguar and you can make a case for the Porsche. I don't think he should have gone for the move there, to be honest. He would have got... the Jaguar is a faster car, so he would have got past him on the start-finish straight regardless. Probably would have got past him coming out of the second part of the chicane anyway, but that was a little bit awkward. But you know what? We're going to take it and we're going to run with it. As that 7th place in the couple of races I did before on Race B have actually raised our driver rating to 34,000, nearly 35,000 by just using the Dodge Viper, which is freaking awesome. Really, really interested to see if I can make it to A+ with the Dodge Viper. But that is going to be it for this one. Thank you so much for watching, liking and subscribing. I really hope you enjoy this series about making Dodge great again. Thank you once again to the channel members. You keep this channel going, and we will see you in the next one.